G'day guys, look at these last three. Race 6 is actually a really nice race. There's a horse in there called a Thelric. Just love the way it was dominant through the line, and just love the way that James Cummings is happy to send them back to the trials after it sat outside leader, a bit of a testing run or just behind them.
The 3-year-old filly drawn the inside.
Sorry, we were on it at Newcastle when it was given a pretty sore back there, and here it is in the blue with the red cap. So much more positive ride from the outside draw. Gets a similar draw here, sits outside them 3 deep, puts them to the sword and strong through the line. So very hard to knock this horse. Selena Dream is a pretty solid horse. There were nice enough horses behind to say that form's strong enough, and that horse was really dominant there. I think it was 900 to 1,000. Had a quiet trial since. Don't expect it to go backwards, expect it to go forwards if anything, and that's good enough to run very well here. I think this horse is right on the up, and I think 1,000 metres is right up its alley. The obvious danger is Satin Ribbons. A bit of a query that it's had 3 trials in, was scratched due to track conditions at Muswellbrook. You'd expect them to be softer here than they were at Muswellbrook that day, so whether they've just decided to give it a run no matter what. And interesting that it's going really hard in its trials. I know they're 1,000 metre trials, but it just shows that this horse is just going to be, potentially in trouble at the end of 1,000 metres on a testing surface, especially with any pressure. So if a horse like Capital Rain kicks up and makes it work early, or a Thelric gets outside it and gets into it early like Bowman did to those runners last start, I'd expect a Thelric to probably overpower it if it gets full control and allowed to sort of harness its speed. It'll give a sight because it's a very fast horse, a 1,000 metres, 900 metre horse for sure. Just think that 1,000, may be a little bit vulnerable, and a Thelric's the perfect horse. Just needs to jump like it did last start and get outside leader or behind Capital Rain and Satin Ribbons here. Should run really well. A Thelric, very hard to beat. Race 7, didn't like this race much at all from a betting perspective, simply because there only looks to be 2 chances and they're quite short in the market. This horse, Democracy Manifest, is gone from Cody Nestor to Chris Waller. Obviously don't see that happen very often. It's 2 runs last time in, just for getting its first preparation as a 2-year-old were just really good. Is it still good? It's been gelded, so it must have started as a gelding. Anyhow, the win at Dubbo was really good, through the line, really strong, fastest last 4 and 2 of the day, and under little pressure just ran through the line. Went to Port Macquarie, just given an absolute sore back, out the back against a slow tempo, ran the fastest last 600 of the day there, and was jumping from 1,000 to 1,200. Put away 192 days off, 1 quiet trial. James McDonald goes aboard. The inside gate, make or break, I think. It just depends how the track's playing, but it could easily end up sort of 3-4 back the inside here, Democracy Manifest, and that could be a very difficult position. Whether he just snags it out and tries to circle him, and even that won't be easy. Assured he's got the perfect draw to just camp up wherever it wants to, whether it sits outside leader. I would doubt that Kamagui would get across, but it may. Regardless, he'll have first chance to sort of put pressure on the leaders and get to the front, and then Democracy Manifest either has to ride for luck or circle them. So have to give the nod to Assured, even though I think Democracy Manifest is potentially a much better horse long term. Setup's just better here from a position in run, fitness, and how the track should play perspective today. Lucky last, and a very difficult race. I just thought there was potential for good pressure here, and not a lot of horses with a turn of foot. You've got sort of Mission Phoenix, Momac, Asham, Shame on Us, Filler Fun. What about him? Is a query runner likely to get back? I hope that they ride Island Bay Boy a little bit quiet. You've got From the Bush going probably the best in the race, but drawn the worst. They're going to need luck with a lot of one-pace runners around it. And you've got a horse like Houdat, who should settle midfield, maybe a little bit worse, but absolutely flying for mine and does have a turn of speed, can finish a race off. Fastest last 800, 600, 2 starts ago. Fastest last 200, second and third up at the mile. Super strong, loves the mile, handles the wet. Got through it last start, even though it was pace assisted. Very hard to run on that day, especially wide. At that point, is that the day which day is that? I'll just make sure I got the right day. Yeah, that was the day. That wasn't the crazy day. That was the day it was a little bit more difficult to run on from the back. They did make ground, but it wasn't certainly an advantage to come from back there. And, ran on quite well, pretty negative ride too. And did run, pretty solid closing sections. So today I expect it to be closer and just a more suitable race all around, more suitable pattern. Hopefully, who's riding it? I'm just figuring out I'm going mental in that. Hopefully Bayless, which is the query of the race, just gets on his bike a little bit early, and if he's close enough on the turn, I think he can round these horses up. The other dangerous horse, I think, back on a dry track, just didn't appreciate that fast track at Albury. On a wet track, didn't appreciate the dry track at Albury, is Island Bay Boy. Wide draw, just needs to sneak a 3-wide trail there and can be dangerous coming down the outside. Only $9 at the moment. Expect that to get out, I would imagine. A little bit of a query at a strong 1600 on a wet track, so it's only a sort of a very small bet potentially if you're getting sort of 15, 20 to 1, which is likely with the rider and where it could be in the run. And I just think it's a bit of a knockout coming off a fast track back to a wet track. I think that can suit it, and it does have a bit of turn of foot when saved up for one run. So Who Dat and Island Bay Boy, the ones in the last for me. There are query runners. First up, Outlook. First up, Wits About Him. Coming up here from Cranbourne, very strange. First up, looked a bit one pace, like it wants sort of a mile plus minimum, so more 2,000 plus, I would say. And maybe that's okay if the 1,600 metres fresh, but very difficult to work out where this horse is going to be in the run and what it's going to do, to be honest. Wits About Him, so he's probably the query runner. I thought Momac of the on paces 16 to 1 was fair enough. Gets a jockey upgrade, and it'll keep whacking, and it's very well set up from a fitness perspective. Don't think the wet track's going to hurt it, and it'll be up in the firing line for a long way at big odds. But Who Dat for me in the last. Thanks, guys.